Hello, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel. Today's video is going to be a homeschool reading plan video. What do I mean by reading plan? As homeschoolers, you probably have some kind of book list. I know us homeschool moms are book fiends. And we love filling our house with beautiful literature and wisdom. Our core book list is the Robinson Curriculum core book list. I've actually combined that with the Easy Peasy readers. I will link both the Robinson Curriculum site and Easy Peasy for you down below. I mashed up those two lists because there was a lot of overlap in titles, and the Robinson is a printable curriculum, so you print everything. And the Easy Peasy readers, you could buy hard copies of for very affordable. So I wanted to save myself some printing by buying those, and I saved a lot of money too by buying them used off of Amazon. So I'm going to show you my list. So first thing for your reading plan, you got to ask yourself, what are the kids reading? I recently have been planning for my 7th grader. So here, you can see, I will link this list, my personal list, down below for you. I also have my own little system. I've just handwritten in my color coding system for what assignment I have them do with each book. Like, you may not do that. You may not have them do anything with it at all and just have them reading. That's fine. But I choose to do some reading assignments, and this list have room for up to 3 students to mark. I just put their initial and when they completed one of these books. And what I have here is my approximated grade level for the reading. Then I have what books are on the RC book list, what number on the RC book list they are. And then if it's an Easy Peasy title, what number reader it was in. Yeah, the ones that are Easy Peasies that are in the same reader, I've color coded them too. Anyway, so I was needing to find, go to Everett's next book. I've been printing him out the Not Consumed Middle School Reading Journal. And so I've just been printing out like one journal at a time. And they have both nonfiction and fiction journals. I'm going to show you the fiction journals today, but they come all together. If you get the PDF version, which I did, I want to say it's about $20. It's really affordable because that's going to give me something to use with all 3 of my kids. They've got them for elementary, middle, and high school. Although I wouldn't start the elementary one until maybe 3rd grade at the very earliest. And I have some other things that we do before that, but that's a little off topic. Anyway, so like I said, Everett finished his last book, and I went to go print off another one, and I don't like doing this like every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, how long the book is, to have to like, oh wait, yeah, what new book? Oh, do I need to print it? Do I have it already in my library? I felt like I was doing a little too much on the fly. I don't like to do that. I decided I was going to this, year, I'm already doing some, juggling 3 kids and doing some more in-depth things with each one of them for different subjects. So if I can simplify and take some, do some front loading, as I call it, do more work up front, and then don't have to think about it, set it and forget it. That's what I'm going to do to simplify my day-to-day life. So I decided to just print out, I think I printed out 23 of the fiction journals from Not Consumed. I'm going to show it to you in a second. And I bound it. I have skipped around a little bit on some of these titles. And because I don't use the Robinson curriculum vocabulary for their vocab exclusively. I'm not tied to following the core reading list very tightly, right? I can just kind of use the books as they're good vetted quality books to use, but I don't follow it super closely. I use it as a suggestion, right? For me, the Robinson curriculum, it was the perfect best place to start for homeschooling. I wish I'd started there in the beginning. It was just a really good, gentle educating process for me as well. Now I'm able to use it more as a toolbox, if that makes sense, and not as a strict regimen. I have a little system And I gave myself a little key here, right? So if I own a book, a hard copy of it, I took my highlighter set and I did a little gray highlighter dot. So these are books I own. The little red dot are ones that I've already printed out and that I still have a usable copy of. So you can see ones I've already printed and I can use them again, they're fine. I was going to pick out which ones from my list to use. I also have sometimes, because I may have bought some sets of classic books, or I had some good books that aren't necessarily on the list. So sometimes I just choose just to use those because I have them and I don't have to print anything and I don't have to buy anything and I think that they're good books. So in those cases, like you can see, I'm just writing it in. I probably need to print myself out another blank sheet to write more in. Some of these, they're on the Narnia books. They're in the RC bonus materials, they're bonus books, but they're not the core book list. So I have those in here. But I own a physical copy of those. So I actually have those. I should do, and that one too. I should do this. I have this book as well, and that book. I actually have all of these. Okay. Anyway, so back to Everett. Where were we in the list? His last book that he read was a Henty book, so it's not in the core list. But I had written it right here, by right of conquest, right here. I should write, so they read that in seventh. He's in 7th grade. If you do read the G.A. Henty historical novels, which we love, and Everett actually said he thought By Right of Conquest, he did like that one. It's with Cortez in Mexico. I would say 6th grade is probably the earliest, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I'd say that he seems to be comfortable reading them now in the 7th grade. But they just have a richer vocabulary and they're kind of longer, just so you know. So anyways, that's where he was. I'm like, okay, and then I go back to my list. Okay, where did we leave off in the list? Okay, well, it was way back here. He read The Hound of Baskerville. Since I am focusing on fiction for this journal that I'm doing, I'm not going to look at the ones that are considered American history or social studies literature, because I would prefer to use those when I specifically focus on history and social studies, which I will make a different video about because I'm still kind of figuring that I'm trying to come up with a new system to take some workload off of myself. But that's another video. So right now I'm just looking at the ones that are literature. And so I was like, where's the next one? Satire. I don't want to do that one. Literature. The Jungle Book, right? So there's one I could use. And I have that because it's in the Easy Peasy reader. Anyway, so what I did is I went through and made a list, right? I went through my list. I picked enough books. I think I printed 20. I think I put, 23 journals. So I picked out 23 titles. And then I just went onto Amazon. I did give preference to ones that I already had copies of. I created something to help myself here. Let's say I knew basically which ones I wanted. I had printed out a journal, the reading journal in here. And so the way the reading journals work for Not Consumed for the nonfiction, there's a journal A and a journal B. And they focus on slightly different points. And so they're not doing the exact same one. So you're supposed to alternate them back and forth, which is nice. So it's not so, boring doing the same thing over and over again. I'm just going to show you how mine turned out. I spiral bound mine because I wanted to keep it all together in one spot. What I made to add to it though was this, which I'm going to link for you in the description box. And this is what I think is helpful that I have to contribute to this conversation because I love the reading journals themselves. You can see I went through and I was writing the, as I was picking out the books, I was just writing them like Black Beauty at the beginning of a new journal. So the link in the description box, that's how to make a reading plan, this document. So there'll be this page, how to make a reading plan, and it'll tell you step by step how to make a reading plan. I would do this the first couple times with your kid to make sure that they can do it correctly and that you're giving them some help with time management, because there's kind of several factors here to think about. Here's the book list, so they can just write down their book list and have it for themselves. And then so one thing I did notice that this not consumed journal did not have, it asks what to categorize your book, but most of the things like terms like this, they give you, see, like tone, mood, you know, they talk about plot, climax, following action, resolution. They give little explanations of those terms. For some reason, they didn't give any explanation of what all these categories of fiction are. So fantasy, mystery, historical fiction, science fiction, realistic fiction, fairy tale, literary fiction, and adventure fiction. So Everett and I looked them up together, and we made this. I typed it up so that I could share it with you. And I just gave some quick fiction category definitions for you. I did add one more than they had. I wrote in myth, just because I think kids need to know that myth was distinct enough to have its own, you know, its own name and definition. And of course, because I'm like always, there's like three things. I'm always looking for an excuse to buy a book. I'm always looking for an excuse to spiral bind something. And I'm always looking for an excuse to highlight. Use my favorite highlighters. I love these highlighters. I know that Everett will like this. This will help his eye go where it needs to go. All right, so let's see me actually put this into practice. So I'm gonna compare my master book list. I'm gonna write down what I decided to have him use for this book in here. So here's the instructions on how to make a reading plan. So you've got your book. So right now he's reading Anne of Green Gables. And so obviously we looked at the back, 271 pages, right? We're ultimately going to write our plan down on these bookmarks that come with this document. I like to print mine on cardstock. If you don't have cardstock, just print them out on paper and you can just double it up like that, make it a little thicker and use that as a bookmark. And then when you're done, you know, you can flip it over. But I'm going to use this for scratch paper. So how many pages are in the book, right? So 271. How many days do you have to read this book? So we do a 6-day reading schedule. Because I picked out like 22 books for the year. That's about 2 books a month, like approximately. So for us, that's going to be about 12 days of reading per book. Does that make sense? Since we have 6 days each week that I give them to read. So how many pages in the book? 271 pages. How many days you have to read this book? They have 12 days, right? And then we're just gonna do that math. And it's good for their math skills anyways, right? So 22 and 7/12, which is that's about 22 and a half pages a day. So I'm just gonna round up to 23 pages a day. And I give you that note here too. The pages per day is not a whole number, round up to the next whole number. It's always nice because then they just get, their last day of reading is just a little bit shorter. Okay, so 23 pages a day, and then I just also make another note. If there is an end of book assignment to turn in, schedule time to finish that before starting your next book. So take a look at what their end of because in this reading journal, it'll usually have some kind of optional like little publishing project that they can do, which Everett really enjoys doing, and he wants to do those little projects at the end. I'll give you examples of what they have. So give them like a day or two to do that, and kind of enjoy the accomplishment of finishing that book and getting to transform their what they've learned into an end product. And if you're keeping a reading journal like we are here, make sure to do the math of what dates to do your entries and mark those dates with a star or 2 stars if doing 2 entries in one day. So these journals come with 20 journal entries. There's journal A. So, and let's say like day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. I would really just call those entry days. And so I know that since I'm only giving him 12 days to read this book, he's got to read 23 pages a day. If he wants to keep up on these entries to be done in time, he's got to do about 2 entries a day. He can skip, I was like, go ahead and skip the first or second day and just read and get into the book. Because I feel like it's kind of hard to answer these questions when you're like the first day, you're like just started reading the book. And, you know, it's kind of helpful to get a little bit farther into the book before you start answering the questions. So you can see that I went to the last day. We figured out on the calendar what day that he is going to be done with this book on, when it's going to be due, right? The 29th. This is day 20. This is a writing day. And you start seeing that they've got like a wrapping it up day, application day, writing day. Something else that was helpful with this not consumed was it has this pre-reading day. You put the title, the author, publisher, the total number of pages, finish date. So I said 9:29, we determined that. Number of pages to read each day, which I showed you how to figure that out. And then it asks us a couple quick things. So I just start backwards. I say, if that's the day I want it to be done, I start going 9:29, and I just started going backwards. And since we're doing about 2 a day at this point, it matched up nicely because there's about 2 entries per page. So I put the dates on there for him. I'm hopefully he'll be able to do this on his own soon, but for right now, I'm helping him just to make sure things are going smoothly at the beginning of the year. You know, after a couple books of me helping him, what I do usually when I like try to train them to do something on their own is I start out like, okay, watch me. I tell them maybe what to write down, and then I slowly, like every time we do it again, I take a step back and have them do something more by themselves until they're just doing it by themselves. Do you know what I mean? He actually did write out his own reading plan, but I'm going to show you how to do it here so that it's legible. Okay, so we did the math, right? So we actually started reading this book on 9:15, and he needed to read and he read to page 21. We did this a little bit late, right? And I know, so he got to that page. So the next day he read, then it was like the weekend was 9:18. So I wanted to catch him up. So I added 25 to get him up to page 46. So first I'm just gonna put my dates in, and there's like a weekend in there. So I wanna make sure it's the correct date. And this is something that, you know, if he gets behind, then when we do our school on Sunday, he may have to add a couple pages on Sunday or something to get himself caught up. So then we just kept adding 23 until it got to that 271, right, which was the last day. Now he has his reading plan. I'm gonna write, this is for Anne of Green Gables. Let's see where he ended today. See, this is how he wrote it. Then I wanted to make it cute. So he got to page, he got to page 46 today. Ta-da! But now he has that. I liked the read me, the top poking out at them. Read your book. Okay, so he's starting at journal A, and I told him he doesn't have to do his first journal entry until 9:20. So for bookmarks, I like to use these in their workbooks because they're just so deep that like bookmarks tend to slip down and you can't see them. So I like to use a paper clip to help them keep their spot and it doesn't fall out so much. But if you want to just talk about a little bit about what's in here, they talk about on this day setting, character, and events. They've got a spot there for it. Main character, minor characters, and stuff to journal. Location, setting, location and time. Time period, plot, exposition, rising action, climax, narrator, who tells the story, perspective, first person, third person, viewpoint, omniscient, limited viewpoint, connection, text to self, text to text, and text to world. Day 10, purpose, entertained, informed, delighted, excited, intrigued, right, the author's purpose. Day 11, character, biblical character traits, worldview, vocabulary, tone, consider the words used, author's opinion or attitude, mood, such as cheerful, adventurous, romantic, mysterious, humorous, and they ask for examples from the text. Climax, falling action, resolution, vocabulary 2, wrapping it up, their final analysis of your book, talk to a member of your family or friend, explain predictions, what could have been changed or even left out, your least favorite part, all types of good stuff. Application. Illustrate your book into a simple children's book format. Write a poem about your story. Write a news or magazine article emphasizing the climax of the plot and the story. When you finish, read it out loud to your family. Write a letter to one of the main characters. Do an author study by investigating books they have written, themes they use, and life experiences they had. Then write your findings in a creative way. Some examples are a pamphlet, graphic organizer, poster board, website, or song. I say Everett really likes to be able to use the computer, so I will let him, we can make stuff like that, like brochures and things like in PowerPoint or in Canva. He really likes, even like Word, he likes to type of documents and play around with fonts and borders and stuff like that. Don't skip that part. That's fun for them, and when if they show an interest, like they want to do that stuff, let them do it. Day 20, writing. 1 to 3 paragraphs. Compare and contrast the characters in your book. Use details to support your conclusions. And then they have a sample outline for them. Isn't that nice? And this is their area for brainstorming. All right, then they'll go on to the next one, journal B. So vocabulary, subplots, characters, style, symbolism, conflict, analysis, connection, evaluation, theme, truth, cause and effect, vocabulary, summarizing. Yeah, I love this. I love when resources have this. They have like the definitions and things and then how to apply them to an assignment built in for you, so I don't have to do that. Teaching, I don't have to do any researching. It's in here and they've done the hard work. Like I said, the only thing I saw that was missing out was the definitions for the category of fiction, which I included in your little freebie in the description box. Worldview, evaluation, application. Right, create an artistic piece from your book. Illustration, song, dance, model, record or perform a commercial to convince someone to read this book. You can make a book jacket, make a shoebox diorama, rewrite the ending of the book. How would you like it to go? Are those fun assignments? So give them time, like don't go right to the next book, like give them a couple days to do that stuff. I usually I'm like, well, whatever day of the week that they finish the book on, I usually just let them have the rest of the week to do that stuff so that they just know that they're gonna start the new book on Monday. Or maybe even Sunday. Anyways, so there's the reading plan for you. You have to have what books are you gonna read? And then get some kind of, if you'd like to have a reading journal or something, or notebook, get that. And then you've got your free reading plan document that I linked for you, and it will walk you through how to divide up the days, how to divide up journal entries, and you'll have that fun little bookmark to write your reading plan down so your kid knows where they're supposed to be at the end of every day. All right, I hope that was helpful. Happy homeschooling.